What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for The Oval Season 3, I believe it is. Yeah, this is Season 3. This is going to be episode number 3, The Mole. So, you guys, before we get into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and are not yet subscribed to the channel, then I'm going to need you guys to do me a big favor and stop taking me out on this date and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell button, share the video, and with that out the way, without further ado, let us discuss The Oval, shall we? Alright, you guys, so this episode, we pick up where we left off. You guys remember in the last episode that Priscilla was in the bedroom of the First Lady. So Victoria tells Priscilla to basically, she says, get the fuck out. And Priscilla's just really calm with it. She's like, oh, no, ma'am, I'm not going anywhere. She says, she called her a bitch. And Priscilla was like, I'm not going to be too many more of them bitches, okay? So don't call me a bitch anymore. Victoria called her another bitch. So, let's see where we at. So Victoria tells her once again to get, like, they had a back and forth. Victoria kept telling her to get out. And Priscilla was like, no, ma'am. She says, okay, I'm going to call someone to have you dragged out. And she's like, you won't do that. And Victoria's like, do it look like I'm afraid of you? She says, no, it doesn't look like you're afraid of me. She says, but you are afraid of your father. And that perks up Victoria's ears, like, my father? How would you know that, right? So then Priscilla tells her she's untouchable. She's like, are you the mole? Priscilla never said anything. So then Hunter comes in the room and Priscilla, is playing like she doesn't even know what's going on, because at this point, Victoria is telling Hunter she's the mole. She's the one that's been telling my father everything. So then Priscilla eventually leaves and she says, if you need me, I'll be in the kitchen. So Victoria tells Hunter that she wants her fired and that she thinks she's the mole, right? He says, well, you want her fired so bad. You're the First Lady. Why don't you fire her? So, because Hunter at this point really doesn't care. So then we see Richard. So Richard runs into Priscilla and he's asking her, where did she come from? She says, the bedroom. He says, you should go home. She says, I'm not going home, Richard. And he says, the way that you talk to the First Lady, you should be fired. Well, she's not going to fire me, so good luck with that one, right? So at this point, Victoria has called for both Sam and Alonzo. So I'm going to pause right here, and then we're going to move forward. All right, you guys, so next up we see Lily. So Lily went to the attic to take Bobby a sandwich, right? Because she thought he might have been hungry. So she wonders, so at this point, Bobby and Lily are going to play this what if game. Like, what if I met you before I met Donald? What would life be like? Basically, with this one, it was that kind of story, if you guys remember from Scandal, how Fitz and Olivia had this what if story, right? If he never, was in a relationship with Millie. So this is kind of their thing. They're having a what if. What if she never met Donald? They would have two or three kids. They would live a normal life, basically. So then Bobby tells her that, he has a tracker on not Donald's car, and that they're pulling his car around, and that he'll be home relatively soon. So she needs to go and pretend that, like she's been in bed this whole time, right? So then we move back over to Alonzo and Sam. So Alonzo and Sam, they go, to see what Victoria wanted, right? She takes them to the kitchen and she tells them to drag her out, talking about Priscilla. And Priscilla was like, the phone is ringing. Because she told them don't touch her. But she's like, the phone is ringing. And they're like, what do you mean the phone is ringing? And then literally the phone rang. So she's like, you should answer it. So Victoria goes, actually no, not Sam. Richard answers the phone. She said, Richard, I said for her to answer the phone. So Richard said, ma'am, it's your father. So I don't know what Victoria's father said on the phone. It wasn't a long conversation. But after the conversation, she got off the phone and she said, leave her alone. Basically, leave her alone. She said, let her stay. And she walked away. So then let's move over to Max and Blakely. So we see Max and Blakely. So they're at that hotel that, Bobby stays at. Blakely, at this point, she's flipping out. They haven't heard from Martin. She's like, how you know that this place is good? Or see, like Bobby comes here. She's like, so we're gonna trust Bobby? Well, I mean, you don't really have much of a choice at this point, right? Like she was really flipping out that entire time, and Max, I don't know how Max calmed her down, but he calmed her down. He told her at one point she needed a drink, which she really did. But I mean, she was literally just flipping out, like flipping out for no reason. So we're gonna pause here and move forward. All right, you guys. Next up, Victoria. So back to Victoria. So Victoria's talking to Hunter once again, right? And she's telling him that Priscilla knows her father, and that her father told her that Priscilla is there for their protection. I'm like, really? Their protection? And that's when Hunter's like, well, you know, maybe she wants you to stop fucking her husband. Hunter, I know you are not the one. You're not the one to talk about anybody at this point. You okay? So she tells him, if you're thinking about doing something to my father, don't do it because it's gonna backfire. Whatever you have planned is gonna backfire. So we see Priscilla. Priscilla is getting ready to leave the White House, and she can't check out because Sam has not cleared her for checkout. So Alonzo's like, you can't leave. She's like, what do you mean I can't leave? He says, because Sam wants to talk to you. She says, well, I don't want to talk to him. He says, well, you can't leave until he talks to you. So he calls Sam. Sam comes and gets Priscilla, right? So Sam asks her, you know, are you the mole? She doesn't answer him. Then he says, how do you know her father? She says, well, Sam, you must remember, I was working at the White House years before you got here. He says, yes. She says, so I know more people than you do, right? So that was that. So Sam cleared her to leave. He told Alonzo she's clear. So we see Donald. So Donald talks to Alan, right? Donald is telling Alan that Alan can go home. And, you know, he asks, is there anything he wants to tell him about Ellie? So he tells him he already knew about Ellie and Hunter because Ellie told him. And then he asks, he says, you know, you could have told me the truth about that. And you also could have told me the truth about you and Kyle. He's like, what do you mean about me and Kyle? He says, the fact that you two are in love. He says, you think me and Kyle are in love? So then he was like, well, I'm just trying to protect you. So if you tell me things, I can protect you. Like, I want to protect you. And then Donald asks him, do you want to kiss me? He's like, huh? Do I want to kiss you? He says, no. He says, yes, you do, because you're flirting with me. So I'm like, wait a minute. So is he trying to do what Ellie is doing? Since he knows now that Donald is gay, and I guess he feels like if Ellie can sleep her way up, he can do the same. But Donald told him in a nutshell, be careful of what you do. And that is actually some true shit, right? Be careful of what you do. You know, when I look at these notes, this episode wasn't really much of anything. Nothing really happened in this episode. The more I look at these notes, we're gonna move forward. All right, you guys. Now I don't know why we necessarily needed this scene with Nancy and Barry. So Barry is in his room smoking a blunt, right? And we all know Nancy has asthma, so I guess the smoke smell woke Nancy up out of her sleep. She said she was choking, and she went into his room, and they just had this conversation about him smoking. She said, you know, told him don't be smoking this stuff in her house. She asked him where did he get it from. He told her where he got it from. So she says, okay, well, you smoke it. Open a window, but don't leave the window open too long because you know Jody, she's nosy and she gonna smell. He said she probably done already smelled it. I was just confused as to why we had this scene with. I was confused by that scene because it just didn't flow with the episode to me. Now I know Barry is saying that he's smoking a weed, you know, basically to calm himself with the situation that's going on with Callie, but I still just didn't understand the significance of that scene. But hey, who am I? So then we see Alan. So Alan goes to get Ellie because, you know, he's leaving for the day, right? She says that she's not going with him. And he asks, you know, what is she going to do since she won't come with him? She says, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to do my job. And I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. So Alan walks out and then there's Jason, right? He's like, Jason, what are you doing down here? He says, I'm just checking in with you. So then Jason asks him, was he the one that hit him? He says, yes, I was the one that hit him. So Jason says, well, I thought we were friends. He says, all I was trying to do was help you. By killing her for what? How does killing I don't understand how killing her helps him. She cheated on him. Jason's brain is an interesting one, right? So Jason is talking to, so Jason tells him, when Jason said that I thought we were friends, Alan says, we're not friends. Like, when are you going to get that through your head? You and I are not friends. So he says, you'll regret this. Okay. All right. So then Alan goes back into Ellie's office and tells her, you might want to come with me because Jason is roaming the halls. She says, no, I'm staying. He says, you think Hunter is trying to protect you? If he was really trying to protect you, Jason wouldn't be here, which is actually a really true statement. If Hunter wanted to protect her, he and Victoria would have committed Jason or done something, because Jason is a menace. So yeah, I'm in agreement with what Alan said. You know what? We're gonna pause here and wrap up. This episode just wasn't a lot. All right, you guys. So Donald went home, right? So he's talking to Lily, and he's asking Lily, what has she been up to? She says, oh, I've just been resting. So then he asks her, has she been in his office? She says, no. Why would I go in your office? So then he asks her, okay, so if you didn't go in my office, then why was my laptop pinged? And I don't know, Donald. Like, I really don't know. So he tells her, you don't even seem that concerned about me. She's like, what are you talking about, Donald? He says, the fact that I was shot at. She says, you were shot at? He says, yes. They took an attempt on the president's life. Okay. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, some of these scenes don't make a lot of sense when I just literally talk out loud and think about them. Because I get what he's doing, right? I got what Donald was doing. He wanted to, he knew everything about. I'm just literally sitting here thinking, like, he knew. So, but actually, if we're being honest, Lily didn't know about the assassination attempt until Bobby them told her, because she was in bed, and they were the ones that got into the house. She didn't let them in. I'm just trying to figure I'm just thinking out. I'm just thinking, you guys. Just thinking. But the smart thing would have been for them to come up with some kind of a lie, right? Explain to, because that was going to cause suspicion, right? His laptop pinged. So how do you how do you get away with that? How do you come up with a lie to be like, oh, I don't know how your laptop pinged? That's interesting. That's just what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how could she have covered her tracks? Because there's literally no way she could have, right? Because the laptop pinged and it's in the house, and allegedly you're the only person in the house. So we move over to the hospital, and Dale wakes up in pain, right? He asks Sharon what the doctor say. She's like, you don't remember? So I'm guessing Dale must be really doped up on drugs because he doesn't remember what the doctor said. So she said that the doctor said he'll be fine, but there were some different, they weren't. Now here's where I was confused by. What kind of bullets were used? Were they rubber bullets? Because she didn't really say. She just said that there was a different kind of, they were a different kind of bullet. So I'm like, were they rubber bullets? That's what I was confused about. Were they rubber bullets? But hey. So she said, he asked her why is she been so nice to him? She says because he's a nice guy. And then he says something. Now see, this is where he lost me. He says September does this to him. I was like, huh? September? What? So then Kareem comes in. He's telling Sharon to come home with him. She says she can't. So she ends up staying. Barry calls her, right? Barry, somebody, he's sorry. She's like, Barry. He says he's sorry, he misses her. And he wants her to come home. She tells him, Barry, you're horny. Because she's like, you start saying this kind of stuff when you're horny. Then she realizes that he's high. She's like, you know what, Barry? I gotta go. So then the end of the episode, you guys remember the last time that Priscilla went to Alan's office, right? She told him that she would send somebody over to his house to beat his ass to beat Ellie's ass. So that's what happened. I don't know if, now I wasn't paying too much attention because I didn't realize if Alan had locked his door or not. But Alan went into the apartment, and soon after Alan, not even like a minute, like a few seconds after Alan walked in, a guy walks right in behind him with a baseball bat, saying that he is there to basically beat his ass per Victoria's request. And that's where the episode ended, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell button so you guys are notified when I drop anything else. Share this video, and until the next one, you guys stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye, guys.